Well, the forecast is finally for some freezing weather overnight. It's late fall and winter is coming, and this weekend we're going out to test some new equipment. And we'll share some tips with you on how to make winter camping more comfortable. But first we're going to air down to about 25 psi to make these rough roads a little bit more bearable. I got a lookout in mind. I should have some great views. I want to go check that out.
A fair amount of snow that is here.
Yeah, it's snowed enough that the road's hard packed. I'm a little surprised. We haven't seen anything like this around home yet.
No, thankfully we haven't. It's nice, there's lots of gravel too. Yeah, for the amount of big green spaces too. You wouldn't think it'd be this iced up in places.
Happened to be filming the view. I look in front, there's these two deer.
Yeah, that erosion's pretty deep there, to be honest.
How's that for a view? What do you think? Have a bite to eat and something to drink?
Yep, sounds good to me.
I think we're going to want to sit in the sun. Yep. The table's a little low.
Parked in the ditch.
Watch your head. Good way to get flogged in the head.
I'm going to have to back it up a little
I
bit.
think so.
Okay, hold on.
Good. That's better. Courtesy of 42 Radar Squadron. Thank you. We're going to enjoy that. Really good.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty nice spot. What do you think, Jean?
It looks good. It's a little muddy, but looks good.
Well, what do you think? This spot, or want to keep looking?
Let's keep looking.
Keep looking. Well, this'll do. We got a fire pit right here, and the fire bans are over, so we're having a fire tonight right here by the river. Home for tonight. This'll do, donkey. This'll do. First things first, when camping in the cold, just don't get cold. Bring enough clothes. Bring whatever you'll need. If you think you'll need from -20, bring to -30. If you think you're gonna need around 0 degrees, bring to -10. And when you start feeling a little cool, put a layer on. Don't wait till you get cold. Stay comfortable. But now we'll make camp before it gets dark, then we'll make supper.
How's that?
Nice and toasty in there?
No?
Oh. Gene and I both love this new tent, this quick pitch tent that we have. And we did a review video on that if you're interested. I'll link that in the description as well. But being a 4-season tent, quite honestly, in weather like this with some extra blankets, we're all right. It's cold, but you don't get cold. But to have a diesel heater, now we're talking. So about a month ago, the folks at LF Brothers, or LF Bros, depends how you want to pronounce it, asked me if I'd review a diesel heater, and I thought, sure, we use them all the time. And first, let me say that we have no intentions of reviewing anything on this channel that we don't use ourselves. We've turned down quite a few offers already, actually. So this is definitely something that we can use, and finally it's cold enough that we can test it in a real world application, right? So first impression when I unpacked it, I have to say that the muffler is what caught my eye. I know that might sound a little bit odd, but this is the third diesel heater that I look at. And by the way, I'm making my comparison based on my first one, the one that we put together ourselves. And the muffler, high quality. You can tell, way heavier, thicker gauge material, not paper thin. So I see a lot of quality in this build just based on that. So another thing that impresses me is this automotive style fuel cap. But much to my surprise, it leaks. So it smells like diesel fuel inside my Jeep. But I knew that already. I saw that in the shop when I filled it up. I love that it holds a good capacity of fuel. It holds 5 liters, which is probably enough for 2 nights based on the efficiency rating. And I don't mind carrying extra fuel. I gotta admit, first thing that puzzled me was the fact that I couldn't connect the muffler to the exhaust port. I had to cut a piece of the exhaust hose off and make myself an adapter. Now maybe it's just me and I'm missing something, or maybe there was a connector missing in this kit, but that was definitely missing in the unit that I got. But no big deal. I cut off a piece, I massaged it a little bit so it would fit on both ends, and just like that, problem solved, no big deal. I do like the fact that they placed the muffler before the tailpipe, where it stays nice and hot, less corrosion issues. Its job is just to make it quieter, so that's the best place for it. This unit also has the capacity for a cold air return, so the heat outlet at this end, and then with this other adapter, so it recirculates the air and reheats it. For what we do, that tent is plenty warm enough. I don't see using that. I think we're just going to use it like we normally use it, and just fresh air going in. I love the hoses provided with this kit, this accordion, and it goes back and it stays that way, which is really nice. So this is the cold air return, which is smaller, and the larger one for the heat. When you go to pack it up, it stays pretty much together, not like the dryer hoses that I'm using. Only thing is, I'm not too sure if it'll be long enough, so we'll try that out. So apart from the heater unit itself, I love that all the accessories come in its own bag. Everything that you'll need is contained in this travel bag, which is really, really cool. We have the inlet and outlet hose, which is great. A direct to 12 volt battery connection to power up the unit. Unfortunately, we run ours off of a Jackery, and I give it a try at home. The Jackery won't power it up. When the glow plug turns on in the warm-up cycle, it kicks out. It won't supply it. So I think in the future, when we install a house battery, I think that's in the works for us. It'll go directly to a house battery. But that's okay. Backup plan is the 120 volt to 12 volt converter. So gave it a try with that. The Jackery runs that just fine. So we'll put it in, we'll protect it from the elements. You get all the clamps. that you would need. And oh, my box came out back here. And you would think this is the adapter, but it's exactly the same size. It doesn't fit on the heater. And some heat diffusers for the hose inside the tent. This I like, it redirects the air for sure. And of course, the controller with the cord. Now, what I love about this one, it can be operated in 2 modes. One just in a power level setting, if you will. Like for us, we usually set it right on low and leave it, and it's just fine. If it gets like to -20, then we kick it up a little bit. But this one can be thermostatically controlled. Love that feature, except that the cord for our application, the rooftop tent is pretty high up in the air. I don't think that's what they intended for. So I'll have to check. It may or may not be long enough. I think it's just a little bit too short. So not something we'll be able to use, but that's okay. And by the way, I'm not doing this review to read all the specs out of a book, which the book is in the box. You know, man law, right? Never read the instructions. No, all kidding aside, I'm not here to read the specs and whatever. I've posted a link in the description. If you want those details, go ahead and find that, that's fine. I want to show you how we use it and how it works for us. So since the heater hose is a little short for our application, that's okay. I brought mine from the other heater, and that's what we're going to use for tonight. Tie the hose down so the wind, if it gets windy, won't whip that hose around. Just like that. Connect the controller, and it has a positive lock. And connect the power supply, lock it in place. I'm going to wrap the controller just on top of the jackery. Go ahead and plug it in. Let's turn it on. So it runs on a pretty high setting while it does its warm-up cycle, and as soon as it's done, you'll hear it throttle down, and then it'll go to that base setting that I gave it. So it should be making heat already. Jean, is there any heat yet?
Yes, it's making lots of nice warm heat.
Happy wife means happy life, right? As long as she's warm, we're good. So the first time you use it, you have to prime the fuel system. You fill it up with fuel, and with the controls, you put it into a prime function. And I've done that before, but this one here, I plumb forgot all about it. I just turned it on and off it went. It just fired up, no problem. So I was really impressed with that. And during the initial setup, when you're installing the exhaust, there's a little black plug in the exhaust pipe. Don't miss that. It's kind of easy to miss. A little bit hard to get out of there too, but make sure you take that out. Now, one thing I like already, holy, is this thing quiet. I can hear the air moving in the fan. I can't hear that typical click, click, click noise that you hear out of, well, my old diesel heater, for example. I can't hear it at all. I have the camera right next to the heater right now. I doubt it's picking up that clicking noise. What did it sound like from inside, Jean?
Very quiet. All you have is the warm air blowing on you. That's it. It's really nice. You don't hear that ticking sound that you normally do.
A couple of washers. Now, nobody just threw these out. These were lost by mistake. But this, on the other hand, and now it's time for supper. And I tell you, there is nothing easier than leftovers when you're cooking in the cold. Ooh, that might be too much. A leftover bacon ranch pasta salad with grilled corn and onion. A recipe from Sam the cooking guy on YouTube. I really like his stuff. Now, it's meant to be cold, I think, by his recipe, but oh, it's never good hot. Wonderful meal. And when you're camping in the cold, you want to eat something hot. That's all I can put in there.
Okay, put a lid on the rest.
But of course, at this time of year, it gets dark so early that camp lighting is a must. So for workspace like our kitchen area, overhead lighting like this is perfect. And then for odd jobs around camp, like splitting wood for the fire, for example, a headlight is just perfect for that. You can see what you're working on. Now as well, I like portable lighting as well that can move around to give me some bigger space lighting when needed. And this photography light works awesome for that. Well, good morning. What a beautiful night. It's -4 this morning and that heater kept us nice and warm. I had asked Gina how well she slept, but I don't have to. She didn't get up till after 9. We had the heater on the lowest setting and it kept us really warm all night. That was perfect actually. And it's so quiet I could barely hear it over the river. I could hear the river sound. The white noise of the river was really nice. It is super quiet. I think my furnace at home is louder than this. And with the white noise of the river, we could barely hear the air or the fan moving on the heater. That was awesome. And very common with these diesel heaters is the clicking noise of the fuel pump. I cannot hear it at all on this one, so it's super quiet. I really like this heater. So it has a 5-liter tank and it consumed about half of it. Now in all fairness, it ran for 12 hours last night, so that's pretty good. Now my other heater has a 10-liter tank, so I know for a 2-day weekend, your typical weekend, I don't need to bring extra fuel. It'll keep us warm for 2 nights with with fuel to spare. But this one here, I guess my little jerry can, I'll just top up the fuel tank for tonight and we'll be just fine. So it used 24% of the capacity of this Jackery 1000. And that's pretty typical. So we're good for a solid 3 nights like this. Granted, I started this one twice just because we were trying out for the first time. But using it less, consuming less power, I'm sure we're good for 4 nights here, which is typical for our winter trips. We usually don't do long winter trips. It's just a weekend thing. Look at that, we're getting some snowflakes. I don't think we're gonna get much for that though. With all the filming that we do, keeping up with batteries is a real chore, if you will, and especially in the cold. They don't last very long. Everybody knows that especially GoPro batteries, they don't last long in the cold at all. So having a way to recharge them is a big plus. A little while ago, the folks at Asperex reached out and they said, hey, we have a power bank we'd like you to try. A 24,000 milliamp hour quick charging power bank, and I tell you, I am super impressed with this thing. It charges super quick. So of course we charge most of their stuff that while we're driving, but once we park here, I hate draining from our vehicle starting batteries, because especially in the cold you want all the starting power you can have in the morning, right? So I plugged it in last night and got all 3 batteries charged up, and it was super fast. Very, very impressed with this product. And of course the ability to bring it up in the tent when it's warm really helps the batteries charge quicker. So I charged up all 3 batteries and I'm down to 87%. So I'm only going to use 13% of the power bank. More than enough available power for the weekend. These are awesome. So keeping drinking water when camping in the cold is a real problem because it freezes. So we use these insulated water coolers and that works really well. And when it gets really cold, you get a little bit of an ice layer forming on the top, so no big deal. When I make coffee, I boil a little bit of extra water and I just pour some hot water back in, close it back up, and that keeps it from freezing that way. Food will freeze as well, so we keep it in the fridge so it doesn't freeze. I know what you're thinking, do you really need a fridge? Well, quite honestly, it's cold enough. You don't need to refrigerate to keep your food fresh, that's for sure. But what we use it for is to keep it from freezing, actually. So what I do is I set it way higher at 10 degrees, which is way higher than what a fridge should be at. And I use the display just to monitor the temperature. And if it gets too cold, if it gets into the minus range, my drink bottle, I just put a little bit of hot water in there and monitor it carefully, and just keep that temperature in that 0 to 4 degrees range, and then nothing freezes. And of course, there's nothing better on a cold morning than a nice hot cup of coffee. And this is probably the request I get most often in the comments on the channel is, where do you get those coffee cups? Well, unfortunately, the cup that we have is no longer available. Although GSI does not make that stainless cup anymore, the Microlite Java Press is still available. The only difference is that the insert is clear plastic, and it's a hard plastic. We really preferred the stainless because easy to clean when we're out in the bush, and that plastic, well, plastic doesn't clean as easy, but it's almost like glass. So I think this will be fine. So this morning, new coffee system. Yep, scratch that. We really intended on recommending these new cups, but they leak. The seal at the top, it was fine on the first pour, but we poured a second coffee and they leak. So yeah, sorry, no bueno. We're going back to our old cups.
Couldn't have froze too hard last night because the ice we broke yesterday didn't freeze back up for the most part.
Yeah, I noticed that. Everything was still pretty liquid.
The first one, when we came in, we'll tell how cold it got. Because we opened that one up and there was lots of water.
That one there was lots of water.
Man, that hill is imposing from here. I'm sure glad it's not all iced up.
Well, it certainly is an imposing hill, that's for sure.
That's okay, I think the next one's steeper. On that side, but it's a showstopper.
That's it. On a cold night like tonight, a campfire is a must. And I see some people left some firewood for us, but unfortunately some of it is dry and some of it is still green. It's not seasoned. That stuff doesn't burn. So we'll just stack it out of the way, and throughout the winter, by next summer when more people camp here, it'll be ready to use. Easy start on a fire in the winter. You want to be able to start a fire pretty quick. One trick that I've used forever now is I just take a piece of paper towel and put some cooking grease in it. In this case, it's just about a tablespoon of bacon grease. So I just put it in the paper towel, fold it up, and makes an excellent fire starter. And I just keep it handy in this plastic bag, put it in our kitchen tote, and I usually pack, I don't know, half dozen, and whatever trip we're ready to go for a fire in the morning and one in the evening as well.
Here's the lid for the rice.
You want to put some water in here, Jane?
Yeah, I have to.
Some sweet and sour chicken on rice with some grilled bok choy. We are eating like kings tonight. Well, I am. She's eating like a queen. Right, Jean?
Yep.
Is that on the low side?
No, it isn't.
Good morning. What another beautiful warm morning. It was -2 last night, so a little bit cooler, and that diesel heater did a great job again. So this morning, fire is going, time to make coffee, sit down and relax. If only I had somebody to grind this coffee for me, eh? Jean? You want to grind the coffee? Yeah, we're in business.
all getting their thick winter coat too.